Hi everyone, and welcome to Paper Pumpkin Week here on Creative Chelsey. This week I'm going to share with you some great card ideas that you can make with one set of supplies from the March 2024 Paper Pumpkin Kit called Memorable Meadows. The projects from this kit are really beautiful with impressionistic landscapes that make me ready for summer. The kit creates a total of 9 greeting cards, 3 in these 3 different designs. If you would like to watch me unbox the kit and create these cards or see any of my other alternative cards, you can click on the playlist in the top right corner. This is the second set of alternative cards that I will be sharing with you this week. Each of the cards use different tips and techniques to make them stand out. I'm excited to share them with you today. If you are new to my channel and would like to continue to see all of my paper pumpkin alternatives, make sure to subscribe using the link in the bottom right corner. I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. If you're interested in getting your own paper pumpkin subscription, please use the link in the description below to subscribe. To get started, you're going to find your sky card base. That's what I'm calling this because it's mostly sky. And then it has a little bit of landscape here at the bottom. We're going to first cut it in half along that score line in the center at 4 1/4 inches. Then we're going to remove, this is the one with the trees on the left. So this is the back of it. We're going to go ahead and cut that at 4 inches. And so this is the piece that we'll be using for this card. So go ahead and put that off to the side. And for this one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut it at 4 inches. You can see here that it's the one with the trees on the right side. So put that off to the side. And now we have 2 sky pieces that are about 1.5 inches, and we're going to cut these in half at 3/4 of an inch. So they are 3/4 of an inch by 4 1/4 inches. And we're going to use those 4 pieces for the background on this card. So go ahead and put those off to the side. All right, let's go ahead and begin with this card. So we have our 4 by 4 1/4 piece. We're going to go ahead and add that to our card base. My card base is just standard size. It's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and just add this to the bottom of that card base on the front. So it should meet up with all sides except for the top. And if you use liquid glue, make sure to smooth that out so that you don't get any bumps. Okay, so it's going to look something like this. Then you're going to take 3 pieces of a coordinating color. I have Whisper White, Fresh Freesia, and Balmy Blue. And all those colors match this sky. And so I thought it would be fun to do a tearing technique to give a little texture to the sky in a quick and easy way. So these pieces are all 1 1/2 inches by 4 1/4 inches. And I'm just going to tear the bottom edge. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's okay if it goes up and down. And then we're going to layer them all together. I like to tear towards me, and then I get to see the texture of that paper on the inside. Do you see all that texture? So you can organize these however you want. I liked having the Fresh Freesia first, and then I'm going to add the white and then the Balmy Blue at the top. And the only thing that we need to look for is that we are covering this line here. So just make sure when you add that Fresh Freesia, you don't see any of the Whisper White from the card base. So you can slide it up as high as it can go. Make sure it also matches with the edges on the left and right side. Same for the white. When you're ready to add this, you just want to see a little bit of that fresh freesia peeking out from underneath. And then you're going to do the same to the balmy blue. Add the adhesive near the base first, just in case we need to trim off some, as it might be too tall and we don't want to get adhesive on our card base. So you can see here that balmy blue is a little bit taller than my card. Once everything's in place, go ahead and smooth that out if you're using liquid glue. So next you're going to need to trim off any excess that comes above the card base. And I just did that by lining up my card base at 5.5 inches and then cutting off any excess. So next we're going to stamp the greeting, and I have a piece of basic white cardstock that is just shy of 2 inches. So it's 1 7/8 inches by 2 inches. And I'm going to stamp the Have a Beautiful Day greeting in Garden Green, which is the ink that came in the kit. So stamp that in the center, leaving a little extra at the bottom for that flag. And to flag it, you just want to find the center, cut up just a little bit, maybe 1/4 of an inch or so, and then go from the bottom corner to the top of that center point. And you're going to get a nice banner like this. And we can just keep it nice and simple because this card is simple with the design and then that tearing texture that we have at the top. And the thing that I love about this technique is that it gives nice texture to the card. It keeps things simple and it pulls colors from the pattern paper that we are using. And so you can repeat this technique and this layout with lots of different patterns of paper and colors. So moving on to card number 2, we're going to begin by creating a splatter background. I have a piece of balmy blue cardstock and my Night of Navy Stampin' Write marker, and I'm just going to splatter the marker ink onto the balmy blue cardstock. And this piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I'm going to add it to my card base. And this card base is the same as the previous one. It is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 is the finished size. And I did make my card bases out of thick, basic white cardstock. So that's the first step. Then we're going to take that landscape piece and some Night of Navy ink, or even a different blue or dark color, as well as a blending brush. And we're going to add kind of like a vignette around our landscape. So go ahead and pick up some ink. I always like to start my ink off of my cardstock just to make sure that I don't get it on there too dark. You do want to have a nice dark edge, and then you'll bring it in just a little bit, maybe about 1/2 inch or so into your pattern paper here. And what I love about this technique is it really highlights this pattern by giving this dark edge around the pattern, and then it really makes it feel like it's glowing by leaving the center untouched. It's a really fun technique and easy to do, especially with a landscape like this one. So you'll get something that looks like this. It really changes the way that you see the landscape. All right, so once you've done that, you're going to add dimensionals to the back, and you'll place this onto your card base with maybe about 1/4 of an inch or so showing on the left side. and a majority of that balmy blue showing on the right. And you just want to make sure the top and bottom are lined up. And then we're going to stamp our greeting. I just have a 1/2 inch strip by maybe about 3 inches or so. It's the perfect size for this "You've Been on My Mind" greeting that also came from the kit. And I'm going to stamp that in garden green ink. I'm going to keep it closer to the right side. So I measured it. It's more like 3.5 inches. So this strip is 1/2 inch by 3.5 inches. And I'm just going to flag the left end. And add this to my card with some dimensionals. I like to use the edges for skinny pieces like this. I'm going to leave a little space on the right side so that I can tuck in my bow. And you can place this anywhere on the card. I kind of liked it right here in the middle. Try to make it nice and straight. And then the ribbon that I decided to use is this natural wavy ribbon. And I'm going to pull out about 12 inches. And then I want to show you what I did to get this really beautiful kind of braided look. So that ribbon is this one right in the middle. And so you kind of have to pull off the wavy part. So you just want to do this one at a time. You don't want to try to do too many. So just take one piece and kind of scrunch it, and then let that scrunch go down the rest of the ribbon. This is a fun way to alter your ribbon, is by removing one piece. And then I'm going to do the same to the other one on that side. And then you actually get a really fun looking ribbon. So let me show you that as soon as that comes all the way out. So you get just half of that wave. So it kind of goes up and down. Isn't that fun? But I wanted just that middle part. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the second part to that ribbon. And I'm just left with the braided piece that's in the middle. So once I smooth that out, you can kind of see that braided texture is still there. And I'm going to take this and now tie a bow. And once it's the size you like, you can trim off any ends if you need to. And then you're going to tuck it in underneath with a glue dot. So you can just take a glue dot from the kit and put it on top of the knot, and then slide that underneath and attach it to the top of the greeting. And you have this really pretty natural ribbon that has kind of a weave to it. Now, if you don't have this ribbon, you can use any type of ribbon you have, and like maybe linen thread or a twine. It's just really pretty to have that bow on the end there. And I like the natural look of it to tie in with the landscape. I've got a little bit of fibers all over. Okay, so that one's really fast. What I love about this is that vignette. That technique is really beautiful and definitely provides that wow to your card. Okay, so for card number 3, I'm going to create this raised panel with strips. And for the background, I wanted some texture. So I'm going to take a piece of basic white cardstock and put it in an embossing folder. It doesn't really matter which embossing folder you use. I'm using the crosshatch design from the Basics 3D pack that you can get online. So with that pattern, you get this really beautiful look. And then I'm just going to add this to the center of my card base. And again, this is just thick, basic white cardstock. This is cut down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, so that I have a nice border and smooth that out. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and lay down my strips. I've got dimensionals on the top and bottom of each, and I'm just going to place them first upside down so that I can kind of get an idea of where I want to add them. If they're a little crooked, that's okay. They don't need to be perfect, but you can see I need to kind of bring them over just a little bit. Make sure all this spacing looks good. So then I can just take each piece and flip it over and add it kind of where I had it. This one I'll have go a little lower. Maybe this one up a little higher. And this one I'll try to get right in the middle. Okay, so something like that. I like the way that looks, but you can of course do and arrange those as you want. Next, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my greeting. I'm using It's the Little Things That Matter in Garden Green on one of the labels from the kit. So right in the center. And then with the dimensionals, I'm going to add this to my card. I'm going to place the dimensionals just in the center, and I'm pretty sure they're going to attach to these raised strips just fine. So I'm going to place that, try to place it straight on my card, like so. And then I'm going to do the flowers. These flowers come from the flower that's in the stamp set with the greetings. It's like the single flower, and I'm going to stamp it in Crumb Cake ink. This is going to give me a light kind of base color that I can use for coloring. And I think it coordinates nicely with the gold trim along the outside. The colors that I wanted to color are just like the purple to coordinate with that sky, and then a little bit of green. Stampin' Up! Doesn't have a garden green blending stamp and blend, and so I'm using shaded spruce. I think it has a nice, it matches pretty well. And then the purple that I'm using is fresh freesia. So I'm going to go ahead and just color in each petal with light fresh freesia first. So there's the light fresh freesia, and then I can go back with dark fresh freesia and add any shadows or details that I want. Just add a little more dark color to that. With the shaded spruce, I'm going to use the light, and I do want to finish off this leaf here. So make sure to complete that leaf. We're going to be fussy cutting these out. And then use the dark if you want to add some detail. And then for the center of the flower, I'm using a light Daffodil Delight for the center, and then I can go back with my dark Daffodil Delight and add a little shadow near the bottom. Just like that. Now, if you want to add any little details, I use these on my first alternatives. This is just a white gel pen. I'm using the Jelly Roll brand, and Stampin' Up! Does not sell a white gel pen at the moment. And so I'm just going to go in with a little detail near the center, creating kind of like a W shape. A little highlight at the bottom with the leaves. And then if you want, you can add some little details with some white dots here or there. It's kind of a fun look. You can also do some at the top with kind of as a highlight to that top. any to the little leaves if you want. It's just a fun little technique that you can do. So there's kind of a close-up of how each of those flowers look. And then we're going to go ahead and fussy cut these out. Okay, so this is what it will look like when you're done fussy cutting. You're pretty much just removing the stem from the flower and leaves. Then you're going to add dimensionals to the back of the flowers. And you can place these really wherever you'd like. I'm going to do one kind of up in the top left area, and then maybe one a little lower in the top right. And then with the leaves, you can add just a little glue dot at the base. And you're going to tuck that in underneath the flowers. Okay, and then I just noticed that I do have a third leaf here, and so I'm going to go ahead and stamp and color and cut that out. Okay, so I have that single one already, and I'm just going to slide that underneath on the left side of that flower. And that card is all done. Now, I didn't originally plan to add any embellishments to my cards, but if you do have some left over, you can add some. So I'm going to just go ahead and maybe place a couple around my greeting and images. So I've got one down here in the bottom right corner, and then two up near the top left of my greeting. For this one, I can kind of pop some near the greeting, maybe a couple in the sky. You can really place these wherever you would like. You could also use other embellishments that you may have on hand from past kits, or if you've purchased embellishments before. I'm going to just put two, I think, up here near the greeting. Maybe I can put another one up high in the corner. So wherever you want to place those. And your cards are all done. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me share these tips and techniques to really creating wow cards. If you're interested in getting written instructions or seeing close-up images on how I created these cards, you can visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. If you would like to subscribe to Paper Pumpkin so that you can get your own monthly crafting kit, please use the link in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.